The mines beneath the capital were dark and cold. Thousands of humans worked there every day, breaking rocks and pulling out the glowing crystals that powered the alien empire. Was one of them. 3 years ago, Earth fell. They came from the stars with ships that blocked out the sun. They had weapons that turned cities to dust in seconds. Humanity fought back, but it was like throwing stones at a mountain. Was a military officer then. He led his soldiers in the last battle of Seoul. They killed many that day, but in the end they lost. Everyone lost. Now wore a metal collar around his neck. All human slaves wore them. The collar could shock him if he disobeyed. It could kill him if he tried to run. He had seen it happen to others. They were tall and beautiful in a strange way. Their skin was silver blue like moonlight on water. Their eyes were purple, deep and cold. They moved with grace, spoke with soft voices, but their hearts were made of ice. To them, humans were animals, tools, nothing more. Kept his head down and worked. He did not speak unless spoken to. He did not look at the guards. He had learned that lesson early. A human who showed pride was a human who got hurt. But inside, deep where no one could see, a fire still burned. He remembered Earth. He remembered his family. He remembered the taste of freedom. And he swore that one day, somehow, he would see his home again. On this day, something different happened. The guards shouted for everyone to stop working. They lined up the humans against the wall. Someone important was coming, stood with the others, covered in dust and sweat, and waited. She came down the stairs like a ghost. Princess, youngest daughter of the queen, had heard of her but never seen her. She was smaller than other, more delicate. Her silver hair fell past her shoulders, and her purple eyes were softer than any he had seen before. Behind her walked General. He was the opposite of the princess in every way, tall, with eyes full of hate. He commanded all the human slaves in the capital. He enjoyed hurting them, had the marks on his back to prove it. The princess walked slowly past the line of humans. She stopped in front of some and asked their names. The slaves were confused. No had ever asked their names before. Most gave quick answers, their voices shaking with fear. Then she reached. He did not know why he did it. Maybe he was tired. Maybe the fire inside him burned too hot that day. But when Princess stood before him, he lifted his head and looked directly into her eyes. The mind went silent. Looking at a royal was forbidden. It was a crime that could mean death. General stepped forward immediately, his shock staff already glowing with energy. "You dare," the general hissed, "you filthy creature." Did not look away from the princess. He said nothing. He just stood there, waiting for the pain that was coming. But it never came. "Stop," Princess said. Her voice was quiet but firm. General froze. His face showed confusion, then anger. "Your Highness, this animal has broken the law. He must be punished." "I said stop," turned to the general. "I wish to take this human as my personal attendant, prepare him and bring him to my quarters in the palace." The general's mouth fell open. "Your Highness, this is highly unusual. This slave is dangerous. He was a soldier on Earth. He killed many of our warriors." "Then he will make an excellent guard," smiled, but her eyes were serious. "Do you question my decision, General?" His jaw tightened. He wanted to argue, could see the rage boiling behind his eyes, but the general could not refuse a princess, not in front of everyone. "As you wish, Your Highness," said through his teeth. The guards grabbed and took him away. They stripped him, washed him, and gave him new clothes. Simple servant clothes, but clean and soft. They removed the mine dust from his skin and the tangles from his hair. Then they brought him up from the darkness of the mines into the light of the palace above. Had never seen anything like it. The palace was made of white stone that seemed to glow from within. Gardens filled with strange flowers surrounded it. Fountains of crystal-clear water sang in the courtyards. It was beautiful, but it was built on the bones of his people. That night, a guard brought him to the princess's private chambers. She was sitting by a window, looking out at the stars. When she heard him enter, she turned. "Please sit," she said, pointing to a chair. Hesitated, then sat. He kept his eyes on the floor. "You can look at me," said gently. "We are alone here. I will not punish you for it." Slowly, he raised his head. "You must be wondering why I chose you," she continued. "In the mine, when I looked at all those humans, I saw fear in their eyes, broken spirits, empty souls, but when I looked at you," she paused, "I saw fire, defiance. You have not given up, have you?" Stayed silent. Sighed. "I understand your distrust. My people have done terrible things to yours. I cannot change the past, but I want you to know that I never supported this war. My father, the old king, believed in peace. He wanted to meet other species as friends, not conquer them as enemies. But he was killed and my mother took power and—" She stopped, pain crossing her face. Everything changed. Still said nothing. "I am not asking you to trust me," said. "I am asking you to watch. Judge me by my actions, not my words. You will see that not all are monsters." She stood and walked to the door. Before leaving, she looked back at him. "Get some rest. Tomorrow your new life begins." The door closed, was alone. He walked to the window and looked out at the alien sky. 2 moons hung above the horizon. Somewhere beyond those stars was Earth, his home, his people. He did not know what the princess wanted from him. He did not know if her words were true, but he knew one thing for certain. He was no longer in the mines. He was in the heart of the empire, and that meant opportunity. Far away in her throne room, Queen watched the security recordings. She saw her daughter take the human slave. She saw the way he looked at without fear. "Interesting," the Queen whispered. "Very interesting." She turned to her advisor. "Watch this human, report everything to me." The game had begun. Weeks passed. Followed Princess like a shadow. He stood behind her at meetings. He walked beside her through the palace gardens. He learned the names of nobles, the locations of secret passages, the schedules of guards. He watched everything and forgot nothing. The palace was a nest of snakes. Every noble wanted power. Every smile hid a knife. 2 older sisters were the worst. Princess Myra had eyes like frozen lakes and a tongue sharp as a blade. Princess was quieter but more dangerous. They both hated for being their mother's favorite, and they hated her even more for keeping a human so close. "Look at our little sister," Myra said one evening at dinner. "Playing with her pet. Tell me, does it do tricks? Can it fetch?" The nobles at the table laughed. Stood behind's chair, his face empty of emotion. He had learned to make his face a mask. "He is my attendant," replied calmly, "nothing more." "An attendant," smiled sweetly. "You mean a slave. Do not dress it up with pretty words, sister. It is what it is, an animal." His hands tightened on her cup, but she said nothing more. Later that night she apologized too. He told her it did not matter. He had heard worse in the mines. But secretly her shame touched something in his cold heart. She truly cared what he thought. No had ever cared before. As the weeks became months, shared more of her secrets. She told him about her father, King. He had been a gentle ruler who dreamed of a galaxy united in peace. He visited other worlds not to conquer but to learn. When he discovered Earth, he wanted to make friends with humanity. But powerful nobles wanted war. They wanted human slaves, human resources, human land. They killed the king and made it look like an accident. Queen took the throne, and 3 months later, the invasion began. "My mother is not evil," said quietly one night. "But she is practical. She saw that the nobles wanted war. She knew that if she refused, they would kill her too, so she gave them what they wanted. And now she cannot stop, because the moment she shows weakness, they will destroy her." Listened. He was beginning to understand this world. It was not simple. There were no pure heroes or pure villains, just power and the terrible things people did to keep it. But understanding did not mean forgiveness. He still remembered Earth. He still heard the screams of his soldiers as they died. He could not forget, and he would not forgive. Then came the night of the grand feast. It was a celebration of the conquest of Earth. 3 years since humanity fell. The nobles ate and drank and laughed while human slaves served them food. Stood behind, watching the happiness on their faces, feeling sick inside. A drunk noble named Lord approached the princess. He was old and fat, with too many rings on his fingers. His purple eyes were clouded with wine. "Princess," he said loudly, "why do you sit alone? Come, dance with me." "Thank you, Lord, but I do not wish to dance tonight." The Lord's smile faded. He grabbed her arm and pulled her from her chair. "I said dance with me. You should be honored that I ask." Before anyone could react, moved. He stepped between them and removed the Lord's hand from the princess's arm. His grip was firm but not violent. He simply peeled the fat fingers away and pushed the Lord back one step. The music stopped. The laughter died. Every eye in the great hall turned to them. Lord's face went red with rage. This animal touched me. It put its filthy hands on a noble of the empire." General was there in seconds. He had been waiting for this moment, could see the joy in his eyes. "Seize the human," commanded. Guards grabbed arms. He did not resist. "Please," said desperately. "He was protecting me. Lord was being inappropriate." "Silence," his voice was ice. "The law is clear. A slave who touches a noble must be punished. 50 lashes in the courtyard now." They dragged outside. The guests followed, eager to see blood. They tied his hands to a post and tore the shirt from his back. The cold night air bit into his skin. Ran to her mother, who sat on a raised platform, watching with an expression could not read. "Mother, please stop this. He did nothing wrong." Queen looked at her daughter for a long moment. Then she said, "The law must be followed, even by those I love." The first lash fell. The pain was beyond anything had felt before. The whip was made of something that burned like fire. His skin split open and blood ran down his back. He did not scream. The second lash, the third, the fourth, each one worse than the last. General swung the whip himself, putting all his hatred into every strike. Still did not scream. By the 20th lash, the crowd had grown quiet. This was not what they expected. Human slaves always begged, they always cried, they always broke. But this human stood straight. His hands gripped the post until his knuckles turned white. Blood covered his back and pooled at his feet. His body shook with pain, but he made no sound. 30 lashes, 40. Was sweating now. He swung harder and harder, trying to break the human's will, but would not give him that satisfaction. At the 50th lash, his legs finally gave out. He collapsed against the post but did not fall. His hands still held the wood. His eyes were still open. The crowd was silent, even looked disturbed. Queen rose from her seat. She walked down from the platform, her silver robes trailing behind her. The nobles parted like water before her. She stopped in front of his broken body. For a long moment she just looked at him. Then slowly she knelt in the blood-soaked dirt and touched his face. His eyes met hers. Even now there was no fear in them, no hate, just a quiet strength that she had never seen in any being or human. "This one," Queen said softly, "belongs to me now." She stood and turned to her guards. "Take him to the Royal Medical Wing. Give him the best care. I want him healed." Then she walked away, leaving the crowd in stunned silence. Watched them carry his body into the palace. Tears ran down her face. She had tried to save him and she had failed. But as she looked at her mother's retreating back, a new fear grew in her heart. The Queen had seen something something she wanted. And Queen always got what she wanted, woke in a room of white light. The pain was gone. His back, which should have been destroyed, felt almost normal. He sat up slowly and touched his shoulders. Thin scars remained, but the wounds had healed. He was lying on a bed softer than clouds. The room around him was beautiful beyond words. Golden walls, silk curtains, flowers in crystal vases. This was not a slave's room. This was not even a servant's room. A door opened and Queen walked in. Had seen her before, but only from far away. Up close, she was terrifying. Her beauty was like a sword made of ice. Her purple eyes saw everything and revealed nothing. She moved like a predator, graceful and dangerous. "You are awake," she said. Her voice was low and smooth. "Good. The doctor said your body healed faster than expected. Humans are more resilient than we thought." Stayed silent. The Queen smiled slightly. "You may speak freely with me. I do not punish honesty." "Where am I?" he asked. "My private wing of the palace. You are no longer a slave. You are a guest." "A guest?" His voice was flat. "Guests can leave when they want." "True." The Queen sat in a chair across from his bed. "But why would you want to leave? The mines are terrible. My daughter's quarters are comfortable but small. Here you have everything. Except freedom." "Freedom?" The Queen laughed, but there was no joy in it. "Even I do not have freedom. I am bound by duty, by politics, by the need to keep my empire from falling apart. Tell me, human, what would you do with freedom if you had it?" Did not answer. The Queen leaned forward. "I watched you take those 50 lashes. I have seen thousands of humans punished in my reign. They all break, they all beg, but you—" She paused, studying his face. "You did not make a sound. Why?" "Because screaming would not have stopped the pain," said, "and I would not give you the pleasure of seeing me break." "Me? I did not order your punishment." "You allowed it." Silence. The Queen's eyes narrowed, but she did not seem angry. If anything, she seemed pleased. "You speak to me as no one else does," she said. "Every noble in my court tells me what they think I want to hear. They smile and lie and scheme behind my back. But you tell the truth, even when it is dangerous. I have nothing left to lose." "That is where you are wrong." The Queen stood and walked to the window. "You have your people, thousands of human slaves in my empire. Their lives could become better or they could become much worse. It depends on who has the Queen's ear." His heart beat faster. He understood what she was offering: power, influence, the chance to help his people from the inside. But at what cost? "What do you want from me?" he asked. The Queen turned to face him. "I want an advisor, someone who will tell me the truth even when it hurts, someone who does not fear me, someone who can help me understand your species because, human, I will admit something to you that I have never told anyone." She paused. The conquest of Earth was a mistake. Was stunned. Of all the things he expected her to say, this was not it. "The nobles wanted war," the Queen continued. "They promised easy victory and endless resources, but the war cost more than we gained. Your people fight like demons. Even after 3 years, resistance movements burn across your planet. My military is stretched thin. My treasury is emptying, and the nobles who pushed for war now blame me for the failure." "Then end the occupation," said. "Free my people." "I cannot." The Queen shook her head. "If I show weakness, the nobles will tear me down. Civil war will follow. Millions will die, and human alike. I need to find another way. A path that looks like strength but leads to peace." She walked back to his bed and looked down at him. "Help me find that path. Be my advisor. In return, I will improve conditions for human slaves. Better food, medical care, no more random executions. This I promise." Thought of his people in the mines, starving, sick, dying every day, if he could save even some of them. "And my daughter," he asked. "Will be fine. I do not punish her for her soft heart, but you belong to me now, not her. Do you understand?" He understood. He was trading one master for another, but this master had power, real power, power that could be used to help his people. "I accept," he said. The Queen smiled. It was a cold smile, but there was something real in it, something almost like respect. "Good, we begin tomorrow." For the next few weeks, learned what it meant to be at the Queen's side. He attended secret meetings. He read reports about the Empire's problems. He gave his opinions when asked, and sometimes when not asked. The queen listened to him more than she listened to anyone else. The nobles noticed. They whispered in corners, shocked and angry that a human had risen so high. But did not forget, he could not see her. The queen kept them apart, but a kind servant named Bora carried messages between them. Wrote, "I am scared for you. My mother uses everyone, do not trust her." Wrote back, "Wait." One word. It was all he could say. He did not know what would happen next. He only knew that he was exactly where he needed to be. Then the message came that changed everything. General had discovered secret. For years, she had been helping human resistance fighters. She gave them food, medicine, information. She helped some slaves escape to freedom. She thought no one knew. But knew, and he had proof. The punishment for treason was death. Brought his evidence to the queen during a private meeting. Was there. He watched the general lay out documents, recordings, witness statements. Everything pointed to. "The princess has betrayed the empire," said, unable to hide his satisfaction. "The law demands her execution." The queen's face was stone. She looked at the evidence for a long time. Then she looked at. In that moment, he saw something he had never seen before in her eyes. Fear. The queen was afraid, not of the truth but of the choice she had to make, her daughter or her empire, love or power. "There will be a trial," the queen said finally, "before all the noble houses. The truth will be revealed and justice will be done." Bowed and left, triumph in his steps. The queen turned too. Her voice was barely a whisper. "Save her," she said. "Find a way to save my daughter. I cannot do it myself. If I show favor, the nobles will rebel, but you are outside our politics. Find a way." Looked at the most powerful woman in the galaxy. She was asking him for help. A human slave, helping the alien queen save her daughter from death. The universe had a strange sense of humor. "I will try," he said. The queen nodded. For just a moment, she looked like a mother instead of a monarch. "That is all I ask." Hall of Judgment was the largest room in the palace. Giant pillars of white stone held up a ceiling painted with stars. Thousands of seats rose in circles around a central platform. Every noble family in the empire was there. This was the trial of the century, and no one wanted to miss it. Princess stood on the platform, her hands bound in silver chains. Her silver hair was messy, her face pale. She had been in a cell for 3 days, waiting for this moment. Stood beside the queen's throne, dressed in the fine robes of a royal advisor. The nobles stared at him with hatred and confusion. A human standing so close to the monarch was unthinkable, but the queen had commanded it, and no one dared argue. General began his case. He was a skilled speaker, full of righteous anger. He presented the evidence piece by piece. Messages had sent to resistance fighters, records of supplies she had stolen from the palace, names of humans she had helped escape, witnesses who had seen her meeting with rebel leaders. With each piece of evidence, the crowd grew more angry. Shouts of "traitor" filled the hall. Sisters watched from the front row, their faces showing mock sadness that could not hide their joy. When finished, he turned to the queen. "The evidence is clear, Your Majesty. Princess has committed high treason against the empire. The law demands only one punishment, death." The crowd cheered. The queen raised her hand, and silence fell. "Is there anyone who speaks in defense of the princess?" No one moved. The nobles looked at each other, but none would risk their position for a traitor, even a royal one. Even sisters stayed quiet. Stepped forward. The hall exploded in noise. A human speaking at a trial, impossible, against all laws, an insult to every noble present. "Silence!" The queen's voice cut through the chaos like a blade. "I will hear him." His face twisted with rage. "Your Majesty, this is madness. A slave cannot speak in this hall. It goes against 1,000 years of tradition. This human is no longer a slave. He is my advisor, and I will hear him." The queen's eyes were ice. stepped back defeated. Walked to the center of the platform. He stood next to but did not look at her. He faced the crowd, these aliens who had conquered his world and enslaved his people. He felt no fear. He had felt the whip on his back. He had looked death in the eyes. This was nothing. "I do not speak to defend treason," he began. His voice was calm and clear. "I speak to reveal the truth, the whole truth, not just the parts that General wants you to see." Laughed. "What truth could a human know that I do not?" "The truth about you, General." The hall went silent. Turned to the crowd. "For 3 weeks I have been the Queen's advisor. I have read reports that most nobles never see. I have found things that were hidden, things that someone did not want discovered." He reached into his robe and pulled out a small data device. He pressed a button, and images appeared in the air above the platform. "These are records from the military treasury. For the past 2 years, large amounts of money have disappeared. The records say this money went to fight human resistance, but the resistance received nothing. The money went into private accounts." He paused. "General's private accounts." The crowd gasped. His face went pale. "There is more," continued. "These are execution orders. Hundreds of humans killed without trial. The official reports say they were rebels, but many were just slaves who saw something they should not have seen, slaves who knew about the stolen money." He pressed another button. More images appeared. Documents, witness statements, financial records. "General has been robbing the Empire and killing innocents to hide his crimes. He brought this case against Princess not because he cares about justice, but because she got too close to the truth. If she is killed, no one will question him anymore." His hand moved toward his weapon. "Lies, all lies. This human has fabricated everything to protect his princess. He is manipulating the Queen." "Then explain the evidence," said simply. "Every document has dates and signatures. Every account can be checked. Every witness can be questioned. Can you say the same about your case against the princess?" The nobles began to whisper among themselves. They looked at the evidence floating in the air. They looked at sweating face. Doubt was spreading like fire. "Enough," the Queen said. She stood from her throne. Her face was unreadable, but her voice was like thunder. "General, I have heard the accusations against you. You will be taken to the cells and held until a full investigation is complete. If the human's evidence is true, you will face judgment." Guards moved toward. For a moment it looked like he might fight. His hand touched his weapon. But then he saw the guards surrounding him, the nobles turning away from him, the Queen's cold eyes. He had no allies left. They took him away in chains. The Queen turned to her daughter. "Princess, you did break the law. You helped enemies of the Empire. This cannot be ignored." Lowered her head. "I accept any punishment, mother." "You are stripped of your title and will be confined to the palace under guard, but your life is spared." The Queen paused. "Your heart was in the right place, even if your actions were wrong. Perhaps there is still hope for you." The chains were removed from his hands. She fell to her knees, crying with relief. The crowd did not know how to react. Half of them still wanted blood, but the evidence against was too strong, and the Queen had spoken. It was over. That night found a way to see. She came to his room with tears still in her eyes. "You saved my life," she whispered. "How can I ever repay you?" "You do not owe me anything," said. "You showed me kindness when I was nothing. This was my chance to return it." "But the risk you took, speaking in front of all those nobles, they hate you even more now." "They already hated me. What is a little more?" Laughed through her tears, then she became serious. "My mother, she will not let you go now. You have proven yourself too valuable. She will want you closer than ever." "I know." "Are you afraid?" Looked out the window at the alien moons. "I stopped being afraid a long time ago. Now I just move forward one step at a time." Took his hand. Her skin was cool against his. Whatever happens, know that I am grateful and that you have at least one friend in this palace." After she left, sat alone in the darkness. He had won today, but he knew the real battle was just beginning. The queen had seen his power, his usefulness, his value. She would want more from him now. Much more. The queen's private chambers were quiet. Moonlight poured through tall windows, turning everything silver. She sat in a simple chair, without her crown, without her royal robes. For the first time she looked almost human. Stood before her. A week had passed since the trial, was in prison awaiting judgment, was safe. The palace had settled into an uneasy calm. But knew this meeting would change everything. "You saved my daughter," the queen said softly. "You turned the trial on its head. You exposed one of my most powerful generals as a thief and a murderer. All of this a human did, in front of the entire noble court. I had good evidence. Evidence that I gave you access to." The queen smiled slightly. "Do not pretend this was luck. You planned every moment. You knew exactly what to say and when to say it. You are far more dangerous than any of my nobles realize." Said nothing. The queen stood and walked toward him. She stopped close enough that he could see the purple fire in her eyes. "Tell me what you want," she said. "Not what you think I want to hear, not what is safe. Tell me the truth. What does truly want?" He met her gaze. He had played politics for weeks now. He had learned to speak carefully, to hide his real thoughts. But something in her voice told him this was different. This was the moment that would decide the future. "I want freedom for my people," he said. "Not rebellion, not war, just freedom. End the slavery, remove the collars, let humans live as equals." "Impossible." The queen shook her head. "The nobles would never accept it. They would see it as weakness. There would be civil war." "Then do not frame it as weakness. Frame it as strength." Stepped closer. "You conquered Earth. That is done. Nothing can change it, but continuing the occupation is destroying your empire. Your treasury is empty. Your military is tired. Your people are divided. This war is a wound that will never heal. And what is the alternative? Alliance. Let the word hang in the air. Turn slaves into allies. Humans are adaptable. We learn fast. We work hard. We have skills your people do not have. If you free us and give us a place in your empire, we will help you build something stronger than any conquest could create." The queen laughed bitterly. "You make it sound so simple." "It is not simple. It is the hardest thing you will ever do, but it is the only path that leads to survival for both our species." Silence stretched between them. The queen walked to her window and looked out at the stars. Somewhere in that vast darkness was Earth, wounded but alive, waiting. "Why did you not scream?" she asked suddenly. "What?" "During the whipping, 50 lashes, your back torn to pieces, you did not make a single sound." She turned to face him. "I have watched thousands of beings face punishment. Warriors, criminals, nobles who fell from power, they all broke, every single one, but you stood there like a statue of stone. I need to understand why." Thought for a moment. How could he explain? How could he put into words something that lived so deep inside him? "Because dignity was all I had left," he finally said. "They took my home, my freedom, my future. They put a collar around my neck and made me dig in the dirt like an animal, but my mind was still mine. My spirit was still mine. And I decided that no matter what they did to my body, they would never touch what was inside. Screaming would have given them that victory, so I chose silence." The queen stared at him. Something shifted in her eyes, something he had never seen before. "In all my years as ruler," she said quietly, "I have never met anyone like you, human or—" She walked back to her chair but did not sit. Instead, she stood before him, closer than before. "I have a proposal," she said. "Something that has never been done in the history of my empire. Something that will shock every noble, every citizen, every corner of the galaxy." "What proposal?" "Become my consort." His heart stopped. "Not a slave, not an advisor, a consort, equal to me in public standing. You would sit beside my throne. Your voice would carry the weight of royal authority. And when the nobles see a human at the highest level of power, they will have no choice but to accept what comes next. The treaty with Earth said slowly. Yes, we will announce it together, the end of slavery, the beginning of alliance, a new era for both our species. The Queen paused. This is not a game or a trick. I am offering you real power, the power to save your people, but it comes with a price. Understood. If he accepted, he would belong to her, not as a slave but as a partner. His life would be tied to hers forever. He would live among aliens far from Earth for the rest of his days. And he thought of her soft eyes, her gentle kindness, the way she had saved him from the mines. He knew she cared for him, perhaps even loved him in her quiet way. But this was not about love. This was about duty, about the millions of humans suffering in chains, about a future where his people could finally be free. I accept, he said. The announcement ceremony took place 1 week later. The great throne room was filled with every noble in the empire. They expected a routine address from the Queen. They got something that would change history. Queen Took's hand and led him to the throne. She faced her people with iron in her eyes. Today I present to you my consort, of Earth. From this day forward he stands as my equal. His words carry my authority, and together we announce a new treaty between the Empire and the human race. The crowd erupted, shouts of shock, anger, confusion. Nobles turned to each other with wide eyes, some reached for their weapons. But the Queen was not finished. The age of conquest is over. The age of alliance begins. Human slaves will be freed. Human colonies will be established. Humans will serve in our military, our government, our society, not as slaves but as partners. This is not weakness. This is strength. The strength to build something greater than any empire the galaxy has ever seen. For a long moment, no one moved. The nobles looked at the Queen, at the humans standing beside her, at the new world being born before their eyes. Then slowly one noble knelt, then another, then another. Not all of them, many faces still showed hatred, but enough to begin. Stood in the crowd, her title restored. Her eyes met across the room. There was sadness there. She had hoped for something different, but there was also pride. He had done what she never could. He had changed everything. That night stood on the palace balcony. The stars spread above him like scattered diamonds. Somewhere among them was Earth. The Queen joined him. She stood at his side, her silver hair moving in the wind. "What are you thinking?" she asked. "I am thinking that this is only the beginning. The hard work starts now, building trust, changing minds, making the alliance real, not just words. Are you ready for that?" He looked at her, this alien queen who had conquered his world and then chosen him to help heal it. She was not good. She was not evil. She was something more complicated, something almost human. "I have to be," he said. "My people are counting on me." The Queen smiled. For the first time it seemed real, warm even. "For the first time in many years, human," she said. "I believe there is hope." Looked back at the stars. The future was uncertain. The path was dangerous, but he had walked through fire and survived. He had taken every strike and not broken. Whatever came next, he would face it the same way. One step at a time. Together,